In this episode, we'll discuss the events that occurred in 2014. 31-year-old Carly McBride disappeared under mysterious circumstances after visiting her ex-boyfriend's house. Following a missing person report, the police launched an investigation. However, it took authorities almost 2 years to answer the question: where did Carly disappear to? Carly was born on April 14, 1983, to Steve McBride and Lorraine Williams. She was a cheerful and outgoing child with a close relationship with her parents. As she grew up, Carly started experiencing various challenges, including struggles with alcohol and substance abuse. Despite these issues, she made efforts to overcome her addictions. By 2014, Carly was a 31-year-old mother of 2 children, 7-year-old William and 3-year-old Cadence, living in Belmont, New South Wales, Australia. In 2013, Carly entered a rehabilitation center where she met Sale Kenneth Newson, a friendship that soon turned romantic. From August 2014, Carly and Sale were nearly inseparable, though they occasionally had arguments. On September 30, 2014, Sale took Carly to Muswellbrook, where her daughter Cadence lived with her father, Andrew Easton. Carly arrived at her ex-partner's house around 12:30 p.m. Sale agreed to return for her in a few hours, but when he did, Carly was gone. According to Easton, they had a disagreement, and Carly left, intending to walk to a nearby McDonald's. When Carly didn't contact him, Sale started calling her, but with no success. He drove around searching, even checking the McDonald's, but Carly was nowhere to be found. Disturbed by her disappearance, Sale eventually contacted the police. He explained that it was routine for Carly to call and text him whenever she visited her daughter, but that day was different. He received no message from her after he dropped her off. The police questioned Andrew Easton, Carly's ex-partner, as he was the last person to see her. Neighbors and others along the route Carly would have taken to McDonald's were also interviewed, but no one saw her. This lack of witnesses increased suspicions around Easton's account. Surveillance footage from McDonald's offered no evidence of Carly's presence there. Further investigation revealed that Carly's Facebook account had been deleted a few hours after her disappearance, raising questions. Did Carly delete the account herself, or did someone else do it to erase potential evidence? The detectives sought help from the U.S. Department of Justice, hoping to restore the account and uncover who was responsible for its deletion. Meanwhile, Carly's parents and friends struggled with the uncertainty surrounding her fate. Kelly Smith, Carly's close friend and flatmate, described her as a free spirit who loved life and was always there for her friends. She pleaded for anyone with information to come forward, as each day without answers weighed heavily on those close to Carly. Police conducted extensive searches in the area where Carly was last seen, utilizing dogs, divers, and aerial patrols. Despite these efforts, no trace of Carly McBride was found. Months passed, but the investigation yielded no leads, and Carly left no digital footprint after. She disappeared. She never turned on her phone, her social media accounts were inactive, and she did not use bank cards. Investigators began to assume that Carly was no longer alive. 9 months after Carly's disappearance, her parents sought help finding their daughter. They were joined by Detective Timothy Seymour, who could contribute by requesting any information helpful to the case. Ms. McBride's mother, Lorraine Williams, shed tears during the public appeal and begged for help to find her beloved daughter. "If you know anything, even if it's the smallest thing, please come forward and help us," she said. Steve and Lorraine said their family experienced difficulties after Carly's disappearance. "We are coping the best we can," Mr. McBride said. As far as Carly's children are concerned, it's a fairly complex area. Both children have 2 different fathers, and to be honest, we haven't had too much close contact with those children, so we're just hoping that changes so we can have further contact with them. Detective Inspector Timothy Seymour said officers had worked tirelessly since Ms. McBride's disappearance. We have a plethora of information that we are sorting through. However, we are still appealing again. Inspector Seymour noted that the breakthrough moment might come from somebody who thinks they have an innocuous piece of information. Over time, Carly's parents started realizing that they would probably never see their daughter alive again. Lorraine wrote a heartbreaking letter addressing the man who robbed her of her daughter. I don't believe there is one person who does not now know what happened to my bub, or hasn't noticed what has happened on that fateful day. Please help us for her children. They are innocent and gorgeous babies. Whoever you are, you have taken their mummy away, their lifeline to fun times and happiness in their lives, their tower of strength. They will never feel her soft, warm, and reassuring kisses, and her big, warm hugs with that big, contagious belly laugh of hers, and her radiant smile. Their memories are lost. They cannot say goodbye to her. Our pain, anguish, angst, and frustration are keeping us all down, causing us to wake up super vigilant that we might get a call to say they have found my bub. Whoever you are, you decided on that day to rip my daughter away from us, you bottom-feeding runt. We are left with question after question after question. We don't know how to grieve or what we are grieving. We are in a kind of grief limbo. Our little, beautiful, poor babies need to know where their mummy is. They are the innocent victims in this horrible nightmare we are enduring. Please, someone come forward so they can move on and grow into the amazing people their mummy would have wanted them to be. We can't honor and respect Carly's life until she is found. My daughter is reeling you in, and you will be a fine catch when you least expect it. This is my only wish, that we find my bub, that we can put her to rest. It is a basic human right, with the dignity and respect that she deserves. Then her babies, with their beautiful but broken hearts and heads, can start to heal, and they may have a life without the anguish and pain and angst. You didn't give my daughter a chance. Please give her children the knowledge they ache for. William and Cadence should not be burdened with this pain. Please help us give them some semblance of grief and loss in their journey. Carly is a proud Aboriginal woman, as is her beautiful sister, and I am proud and honored to be their mother. No one deserves this in life, but my baby is reeling you in. You are breaking while we are aching. Your truth is Carly's truth, and in turn, it is our truth. Please, someone, speak up. Since the police couldn't link Carly's disappearance to her ex-partner Andrew Easton, they turned their attention to another potential suspect, Sale Newson. During the investigation, they learned that the relationship between Carly and Sale was far from perfect. The man was very jealous, which was a frequent cause of their fights. Despite their relatively short relationship, Newson told everyone he was deeply in love with Carly, mentioning she was the first woman he had fallen in love with in the last 14 years. He desperately asked for any information, participated in launching a Facebook page, offered financial rewards, and knocked on every door in the area where she was last seen. But notwithstanding these public statements of love and devotion, Newson almost immediately started intimate relationships with other women. Besides, a few hours after reporting Carly missing, he offered sexual intercourse to several women. Carly disappeared on September 30th, and on October 2nd, Sale spent the night with another woman, but in public, he behaved like an inconsolable guy who had lost the love of his life. Detectives also discovered that Sale and Carly had an argument 2 days before her disappearance. The reason for this fight was Facebook messages that Carly allegedly received from other men. However, all this was only circumstantial evidence. They needed direct links to bring any charges against Sale Newson. In April 2015, the authorities searched properties at 3 addresses, one in Muswellbrook and the other 2 in Scone. Scone is a town in the Upper Hunter Shire in the Hunter region of New South Wales, Australia. The The distance from Scone to Muswellbrook is about 15 miles. During the searches, they seized 3 firearms and an unspecified amount of illegal substances and arrested a 24-year-old man, James Canine. However, the police stressed that the charges weren't related to the ongoing investigation into Carly's disappearance, yet they did arise during this investigation. Thus, we should keep this name in mind. Almost 2 years have passed since Carly was last seen alive. The police continued to investigate, but there were no new clues helped solve the case. But then, suddenly, there was a breakthrough on August 7, 2016. In a rural area near Scone, 2 local pedestrians found remains in a shallow grave just a few feet from the road. Forensic examination confirmed these were the remains of Carly McBride, a mother of 2 from Belmont, who went missing on September 30, 2014, in Muswellbrook. The police postponed the announcement for 4 days, hoping to gather additional evidence. Superintendent Viana reiterated that they didn't believe Carly, 31, had been taken by a stranger. "We don't believe this was a random act, so we're looking into her past and everyone we can find," he said outside Scone Police Station. However, he stopped short of identifying suspects, as the case was still fresh. "It has taken us 2 years to get this breakthrough, and we have a vast volume of fresh evidence to evaluate," he said. "We've put in a lot of work these past 2 years. The team here is keen to solve this for Carly's family, and we've got so much new evidence that it will take a lot of work, but we're well into it." Carly's heartbroken parents, through tears, expressed their need for answers. "Please come forward with anything." "Anything," Lorraine sobbed. "We still need to know who did this to my baby." The couple said they felt some closure with her body being found and were extremely grateful to the police and public for their help. For 10 months, investigators conducted extensive work, which led to an arrest warrant for Sale Newson on June 19, 2017. He was arrested and taken to the police station, where he denied involvement in Carly's death. However, Sale Newson wasn't the only one facing charges. Police believed that 26-year-old James Kane had helped Newson dispose of Carly McBride's body. Carly, Sale Newson, and James Kane met at a rehabilitation center for people battling addictions. Each left the center at different times, but they stayed in touch. Sale Newson's trial began in August 2018 and dragged on for years, as the police had only circumstantial evidence. Prosecutors alleged that Newson met Carly after she left her ex-partner's house, struck her multiple times in a jealous rage, and disposed of her body. Forensic experts determined that Carly McBride died from multiple blunt force traumas, suffering 23 skull fractures, 13 torso fractures, and spinal and rib injuries. Judge Erase noted that Newson had told police he was a skilled mixed martial artist, specializing in Thai boxing, boasting about his 20 wins. "I find the cause of death was severe trauma to the brain due to high force to the deceased's head," the judge said. "I am satisfied the offender caused her death by using his fists, feet, or both, or possibly objects." In a shoebox under Newson's bed, police found a map with a drawn circle around Muswellbrook and Scone. Carly's remains were found within this radius. The map also had markings that corresponded to the location of point-to-point cameras. After police found Carly's remains, Newson called her father, mentioning that the skeleton was missing hand bones, information only known to the police, Carly's parents, and forensic officials. Moreover, Carly's clothes matched those she wore on the day she disappeared, suggesting she died shortly after leaving her former partner's house. Police couldn't locate her purse and phone. Newson had deleted his Google location data between September 18 and October 2, 2014, which raised more suspicion. Investigators also learned that a photo Newson took of Carly on the way to Muswellbrook, later used on missing person flyers, had been edited before Carly was reported missing. Despite Newson offering a $20,000 reward for information, his bank records showed he was broke, suggesting he offered the reward only because he knew no one would ever find her, thus avoiding payment. Newson attempted to deflect suspicion by actively engaging in the investigation. He gathered information on police activity, searched neighboring streets for CCTV or witnesses, which police believed was done to suppress information. Ms. McBride, while volunteers and police searched for her around Muswellbrook and handed out missing person flyers, Newson was in Sydney messaging friends about how he was driving an Audi R8. Additionally, Newson claimed to know the area where Ms. McBride was found, like the back of my hand, and described it to Carly McBride's father, Steve McBride, despite only seeing footage of a fake crime scene set up by police. The images you are seeing now are not a real crime scene, but a staged one that the police used to see Newson's reaction. The more investigators dug into Newson, interviewing him, looking at his Facebook messages, listening to his phone calls, the more he shone the light on himself. After examining his internet search history, investigators discovered that he was looking for information on how to delete a Facebook account. His account remained active, but Carly's account got deleted shortly after. Although all the evidence was circumstantial, the prosecutor stated they had puzzle pieces that began to reveal a picture when put together. Eventually, these pieces turned into an irrefutable case, ruling out any other possible explanations for how Carly McBride disappeared and how her body was found about 82 feet from the side of the road. The judge concluded that the motive for the brutal and unplanned attack on Carly was Newson's jealousy. After he picked Carly up from Muswellbrook, he discovered she had spent about 90 minutes with her ex-partner instead of spending time with her daughter, as was planned. Carly's daughter was not at home during that time, and the fact that Carly was alone with her ex-partner for an hour and a half allegedly ended with Newson attacking her in a jealous rage. Ms. McBride's mother, Lorraine Williams, told a sentencing hearing that she lived in a blur of grief and anxiety for 2 years as she waited for her happy, gorgeous, and outgoing daughter to come home to her 2 young children. Instead, the next time she saw Carly was in the morgue, a day she tearfully described as the worst day of my life. Carly should be here, living her life with her children, her sister, her father, and me, Ms. Williams said. After today, I never want to hear, speak, or see the man who took my beautiful daughter's life ever again. He no longer has any power to hurt me, and I refuse to think of him any more. I will miss Carly for the rest of my life, every second of every day, Ms. Williams said. Almost 7 years after he reported Carly missing, 43-year-old Newson was found guilty in December 2021. He was sentenced to 27 years in prison with parole eligibility in 2038. After the sentencing, Newson turned to the judge to restate his innocence. "I understand the verdict's been the verdict," he said. "Your Honor, I'm innocent. From the day I reported Carly missing to this very day, I've been compliant with the police, with the courts, with the jails, everything. And I've been found guilty of a crime that I did not commit. Someone out there has committed this crime, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me, and now I've got a big struggle ahead of me to try and clear my name through the courts." After this, James Cunning, who helped Newson dispose of Carly McBride's body, denied his guilt. However, in July 2022, a jury found him guilty too. The judge stated that Cunning lied to police in 3 interrogations to create a false alibi for Newson and deleted data from his phone to cover his tracks. Unfortunately, I couldn't find his picture, but it is known that when Cunning received charges in the Carly McBride case, he was already in prison for illegal weapons possession and prohibited substances. In November 2022, the 31-year-old Cunning showed almost no reaction when he was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, with a 4-year parole period. After the trial, Carly's parents said that although justice had prevailed, no matter the verdict, nothing would ever return their daughter.